So it's the end of 2018. What's to be said? A year in review. That bizarre set of 12 months, 365 days between January the 1st and December the 31st. Just seems like we put parameters on time that just remind us this is such a fleeting thing, and we confine the bad and the good, usually the bad, to those 12-month confines, and the older I get, the more negative I see it as being. For sure, 2018 decided to chuck the darker sides of life me and my family's way, and those that I love, but it's a year that I'm going to look back on with great fondness and love. It's not to say I've succeeded, but I've started seeing the world in a slightly more positive way and living in the moment a little bit more. But there I go again, falling into the traps of looking at 1 year as having sort of parameters, and it just shouldn't. You know, life is just life. There are little clusters of good and bad energy that happen all over the place, but time and your perception of it is just a trap. And it's a trap that I willingly walk into, because I know better. You know, a lot of us do know better than to get caught up in stuff that is outside of the moment that we're in. But there are far too many piranhas and sharks out there trying to tell you, live in the moment, man. And it just isn't that simple. Some of us have concerns. Some of us have a maturity about us that means that you understand that the well-being of yourself and those around you is important. And that is an awareness of the future. You know, it's an awareness of the past. I've definitely had a year where my ability to identify the sharks and the piranhas has it's become honed, that skill to be able to see those people. But it does, just as you get older, by a system of default. People who get to nearly 50, you know, and I have seen it, who are naive and optimistic and still see a lot more good in the world than actually exists. You know, we always think that mental illness is about depression and the, you know, the sort of the surface area of those kind of issues. You know, none of us know many people with really, really deep-seated problems, but, you know, basic depression is a state of mind that we would all probably agree is that sort of default state of not being too good mentally. And I would argue that the optimism and the unwillingness to look at what a dark place this world is the most prevalent mental illness in a large number of people. It's ironic, really. You know, over the years I've become almost obsessed with the spiritual soothsayers here on this platform of YouTube. And I see them as dangerous. They're sharks and they're piranhas. They're picking at people. They're picking at things that are impossible to attain. Just like the lies of the system: get married, go to school, have kids, get a job. What do you look forward to at the end? Having some money to retire, so when your body no longer works, you can't get any erection. And waking up in the morning is a process that requires a crane to get you out of your bed. Yeah, that's when you can enjoy life. You know, it speaks for itself. It speaks for itself as far as I'm concerned. I think that there's this emphasis on people with depression, the blanket state, the most default state of mental issue that we acknowledge as being the most prevalent. But those bastards, those vampires, those sharks, those piranhas who are telling you, you know, the world is a very, very dark place, and you know all of those terrible things that are going on. The millions of people who are starving, the millions of people, the children dying of AIDS in Africa. It's all happy-clappy. Everything's meant to be great. We're all fine, you know. It's dark. It's dark beyond belief. And it is amazing as you get older when you realise that darkness can come your way and into your sphere of consciousness and awareness, dressed as the brightest light you'll ever see. I've seen people that I love and care about struck down with both mental and physical problems over the last 12 months. And that has been painful to witness. It really has. You know, you learn a lot about yourself and you learn a lot about other people when you're confronted with two situations. The obvious nature of somebody with no hair who's having chemotherapy, and somebody who's got deep-rooted psychological issues that come of that were born of a group of people taking something from that person that didn't belong to them, that makes them all criminals as well. Whoever said the learning process was going to be pleasant or easy? You know, I always assumed that the knocks of life are when you're younger and a bit naive, but you know, you get older, and the one thing that starts surprising you is, you know, you get to nearly 50, is how many people didn't make it this far. It's utterly incredible. You know, the older you get, it gets surprising the amount of people who die. It's, you know, it's as simple as that. But yeah, what have I got to be grateful to? I've got those two situations I'm very grateful for sorting out my priorities. I've had people who I've fallen out with, good and proper, give me a dose of reality about what and who they see in me, that has done me big favours. My direct family, my partner and my daughter, have continued to tolerate an extremely, extremely troubled and difficult man in me. This year's given me pause for thought to really realise that the bullshit I used to talk of, oh well, it's got to be an organic change, man. Sometimes you have to override it. I needed at some point this year to just start embracing a little bit more of the positive, and instead of feeling sorry for myself and thinking relationship's not what it was 8 years ago, I'm just going to go and hide away. No, walk into that room, open that door that separates you, give that person a kiss, tell them you love them. I still fight with that kind of thing, and I still have a tendency to hide myself away and feel very sorry for myself. I'm an egotistical, narcissistic piece of shit. Or it can be, but I'm fighting it, and I'm fighting it hard. Do you know, for all those days where I've sat on my own and just thought, I feel sorry for myself. The explosion at the beginning of a relationship and it's no longer there. If I override that shit, walk into the person who matters, sprinkle a little bit of magic in that direction, what comes back your way? Another dose of magic. You feel better, you feel content, you feel safe, you feel fulfilled. You know, there's just so much in this world. I saw a post once that said, if you've got hatred inside you and you maintain that hatred for a person, an entity, a corporation or what have you, it's like you taking poison and expecting it to kill them, you know? And I'm not going to be that person. I've been poisonous enough for a very long time, and this year has definitely taught me that all of my bullshit about just let it be, man. Sometimes you have to intervene in your own life and just do something nice where once you would have done something negligent, something that was an omission of what you truly think and feel. This year's taught me so much, watching my daughter go through her 8th year, I guess. She's 7, that means it's her 8th year. I don't know how that bloody works, but she's a continued ray of light in my life. My mum and dad, still around, just spent Christmas with them. Fantastic friends and love them dearly. Sister, beaten cancer in the last year. Got a lot to be thankful for. And you know, I'm always going to be a person who concentrates on the darker side of life. I remember seeing a kid at school, Mark Hickmott. We became, well, lifelong friends really. But I remember just seeing him at school. Everybody was, we went to secondary school and everybody was up with fashions. You know, I came from a little village school and had no clue, and I went from playing with my Action Man and going out walking with my mum and the dogs all summer to being at a secondary school where everybody was talking about girls and fashion. And Mark was from the council estate near the school, you know, very poor area, very poor child. From a poor family. And I remember his toe was through his shoe. You know, he'd worn them so long. His toe had gone through his shoe. And back then, I was moved by it. You know, I'm not trying to play the hero here or signal a virtue, but just the damaged and the broken and the troubled and the sort of neglected. It's always moved me for some reason. It's probably for very self-serving reasons, in all honesty, because I'm that kind of person. But I can't remember exactly why I went into this, but it kind of seems relevant. It's kind of seasonal, isn't it? But yeah, it's the kind of thing that's always moved me, even as a kid, and it still does to this day. Anyway, I haven't got a clue why I went into that story about Mark, but I'll watch it back and realise where I went wrong. Read between the lines, and you've all been listening to me waffle on for years, and you know the kind of crap that I come out with. You can probably predict what I'm going to go on about. It's probably a 99% pinpoint accuracy. Anyway, all the best for the coming year and the coming years. Much love, and I appreciate the input over the years, I really do. Cheers.